Welcome back. This is Breakfast Daily on City TV. We'll take a look at some newspaper stories and then our online stories from citynewsroom.com, starting with the Finder. So the Finder has it here. No floor price, no cocoa sale. Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire serve notice on 2020-2021 crop season. I think this is great news for all of us. Ghana remains safe and security agencies remain vigilant. That's coming from the Information Minister, Kojo Nkrumah, and that story is on page 5. 1.5 million pregnant mothers to benefit from GEV scan by 2020. That story is on page 4 of the Finder. And finally, Glow wows dealers with Dubai holiday trip. That story is on page 8. Now we'll go on to the Daily Graphic. Ofosu Ampor for granted bail. That story is on page 16. Court throws out injunction against limited voter registration. That story is also on page 16. Finally, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire fire salvo threaten to withhold cocoa sales. Demand $2,600 per ton. That story is also on page 3 of the Daily Graphic. So the Daily Graphic. So now we'll take a look at the Herald. The Herald has it here. Ghana's military fails to make list of 10 in Africa amid heightened terrorist attacks. Stories on pages 3, 4, 5, and 7. NDC national chairman arrested with frivolous claims. Dubai Interpol refuses to extradite men's gold boss. That's Nana Apia Mensah. Now we'll take a look at the Chronicle. The Chronicle has it here. Ofosu Ampofo smoked out from his hole. I think that stories are on pages 2 and 3. A slight exaggeration here, but okay. Pay us as ministers, MPs, says assembly members. MPs in disarray over Legon report. And then you can't claim Dentura Palace with empty rhetoric. So now we'll go on to the Ghanaian Times. The Ghanaian Times has it here. Again, the great news. Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire to stop cocoa sale on open market from 2020-2021 season. That story is on page 16. I think we should all read it and celebrate this great decision by the two superpowers as far as cocoa production is concerned. Pensioner in trouble for swindling businesswoman. That story is on page 3. Police arrest Ofosu Ampor for story on page 17. Supreme Court throws out case against EC. Story on page 15 of the Ghanaian Times. Now we'll go on to the Informer newspaper. MPs con voters. That's coming from a report here, and that story is on page 4. Freedom has rather enslaved Ghana's mindset. Koku Anyidoho writes. Stories on pages 2 and 8. Minister insults families, says security services are not God or magicians to know where the girls have been hidden. So this is in connection to the demonstration against government over the missing Takrady girls, and that story is on page 5. Brouhaha over one village, one dam. Upon Nkrumah exposes NPP's disrespect for Northerners. Says they don't deserve Akosombo-like type of dam. I don't think that's what he said. But that's what this headline is saying. And stories on pages 3, 4, and 5. And Dankwa Institute lampoons in EC. So Dankwa Institute lampoons EC. That's on their back page, and it's over inadequate IPAC engagements. Now we'll take a look at the New Crusading Guide. The New Crusading Guide has it here. ADI tackles NPP NDC over public debt. That story is on page 10. Australian deportees visa scandal. Immigration in cover up over 60 fake journalists. Stories on pages 3 and 10. Empty rhetoric can't claim property. That's coming from a witness and is connected to the Dentra Palace trial, eating leftover foods hazardous. That's coming from Dr. Brian M. Bonsu. Ofosu Ampofo released as NDC supporters mass up at police headquarters. Supreme Court must interpret transitional provisions as time-bound. It's coming from Professor Kweku Asare. Now we'll go on to the Daily Guide newspaper. Ofosu Ampofo arrested. Story on page 3. And of course, we know that he's been released now. Court dismisses injunction against EC. Story on page 6. Ghana remains safe. That's coming from the government, and that story is on page 6 as well. Kidnapped Canadians hostel closed down. So the girls have now been found, and we are all very happy about that. Story is on page 3. Now we'll take a look at our final newspaper, Business and Financial Times. Ghana, Ivory Coast consider suspending cocoa beans trading. Story on page 3. BOG still on the Business and Financial Times. BOG must be tough on regulation going forward. It's coming from the World Bank country director. Now, fuel and utility prices set to anchor inflation for rest of year. That story is on page 3 of the Business and Financial Times. Now, we'll take a look at some online stories, starting with citynewsroom.com and then citybusinessnews.com. So the first story on citynewsroom.com says 2 kidnapped Canadian girls rescued. We are very happy about that. Ghana remains safe. Security remains vigilant. Government assures. Ofosu Ampofo's arrest a huge joke. Police looking in wrong direction. That's coming from Sly Mensa. Ofosu Ampofo released after arrest. Electronic gadgets seized. NDC urges calm from supporters after Ofosu Ampofo's arrest. Now we'll take a look at some business news from citybusinessnews.com. City Business Festival, all is set for sales revolution tomorrow. Now remember, if you are interested in sales or you want to meet those targets, you want to be there tomorrow. So if you've forgotten, go on to citybusinessnews.com to read more and learn how to register for the sales revolution. Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire propose $2,600 minimum price for cocoa. So the two countries have come together to set prices for cocoa finally, so that the farmers can gain more from participating in the cocoa trade. Now, throughout the news review, if you have any comments or questions, we would want to hear them with the hashtag BreakfastDaily and the WhatsApp line 0550-585-832. So the number again is 0550-585-832 and the hashtag is Breakfast Daily. I have been joined now by a woman who needs no introduction, Joyce Zempare, who is the Deputy National Communications Director of NPP, and we're also expecting Nana Oye Lithur, who is the former Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection. As soon as she joins us, I will be sure to include her in the conversation. But for now, we are here with Joyce. Good morning.
Good morning, my dear.
How are you?
I'm good.
So we have some great news this morning.
Sure.
2 Canadian girls have been found. We read the press release by the Information Ministry earlier on, but let me hear your initial thoughts on this.
Let me say good morning to yourself, your crew, and our cherished viewers who are listening to us this morning. It's not that we are so thoughtful, we are above everything, but at least we've also come to contribute to nation building and to thank God for giving us life today. We are counted among the living. Well, it's great news. That's what every country, every citizen needs to hear about. In fact, it's been worrying for this recent outcries and things, the insecurity that was being created around that this country was not safe. But here we are, that we're experiencing, we're having the good news this morning. All said and done, we expect our security agencies to up their game so that we don't even have to wait for us to go into such situation. You know, you cannot run away from incidents like this. Like we all say, the world is moving at a pace that you also need to up yourself to hook up to it so that you be intelligent with whatever the happenings are. You know, when this kidnapping, in fact, we've had the Takoradi girls, which we are still waiting to hear any good news about. We know the police are up there doing all that they can to locate where the girls are. There have been arrests, there have been people being tried and other things. But you know, people that go into these things have some kind of bond. They go through a lot of training and poaching that you find it difficult for them to release information. Some are trained that they are ever prepared to suffer the consequences when they are caught. But we pray, we'll keep hoping that we'll get to the bottom of that issue. And the Canadian ladies who have been rescued this morning, we say kudos. They should not eat into their heads that, yes, for once they'll be able to do one thing or the other. When you look back and you travel around, then that is where you get to understand that, look, we're living in one of the peaceful countries on the continent. At least you walk in the streets of UK, London, and in less than 5 minutes, you hear somebody be stabbed and all those things. But they don't put that under insecurity. They think there are issues that confront the nation. They are handling it. So my problem a little is where Ghanaians will rush to give judgment to any incident, trying to create more hoax about an incident. As a nation, whatever it is, some of these things will confront us. It's about how we prepare. This will also make government and the security agencies to map up more strategies that will tell government if there are any things that the security agencies are lacking. They should put them all together, make sure the resources are available to them. People are well trained on the job.
Okay.
I quite remember when our fathers were in the police service. I always tell people, look, my father, until his death, most people within even our community didn't know what he was doing. He didn't want to use the police car. He always go out in his mufti and those things. Let's train people in all those things to make sure.
Let me read the statement by the Information Ministry briefly for our viewers. And it says here, rescue of abducted Canadians. National security operatives in the early hours of Wednesday, 12 June 2019, completed an operation which successfully rescued 2 Canadian women recently abducted in the Ashanti region. Details of the operations and ongoing efforts to ensure that similar incidents are successfully resolved will be made available in subsequent press briefing. Now, this is the really interesting part. It says government continues to encourage the media and commentators to be circumspect in public commentary on security matters in order not to compromise other related operations. Citizens and travelers are once again assured that Ghana remains safe. So citizens and travelers are once again assured that Ghana remains safe. And this is coming from our Minister of Information, Kojo Point Joyce. 3 Ghanaian citizens have been missing since August. Day in, day out, we are hearing of marches in Takoradi. The families are frustrated. They've even complained that they have to force information out of some of our security personnel, and they have to rely on media to get their frustrations out. 2 Canadian girls are kidnapped, and in less than 1 week, we find them. What does this say about Ghanaians?
What does it say about Ghanaians? That means we are up to whatever we're doing, because it's unfortunate, like I said earlier on, about this Takoradi ladies. But you weigh the circumstances.
What are the circumstances?
Hold it. You know, it took us time before we even got to hear of this Canadian girls kidnapping. How long did it take for all this to come out? You see, you measure all the situations according to their weight and time, durations. You know, when you allow space, that is where you create avenues for the perpetrators to have time. And you know, the gentleman who was arrested in Takoradi, look, one thing I'll fault the police on, that gentleman shouldn't have been kept in Takoradi cells. Straight away, they should have brought him to Accra.
Why?
Oh, yes. You know, in terms of intelligence, it depends on where the issues are and how they are handled. You know, we talk to the security agencies and they give us information on, say, look, you don't, and you know, that's what created the avenue. The gentleman came out to confess that it was a police officer who assisted him in escaping. Do you think if they had brought him to Accra, those incidents would have happened? You don't create avenues for people to have the opportunities to tamper with informations and other things. You don't. So, I don't know. It's so confusing. It's so worrisome. In fact, I need to say it as a Ghanaian because I can't sit and see my own getting missing, being kidnapping, and there's nothing much to talk about. But like the security agencies have given us the assurance, they are doing everything possible. One person has been arrested. One is also being put.
Yes, and
for trial. And you know, there are times when you watch this or you read some of this intelligence, you know, when one is arrested, that person can be used as a bait.
I get that.
To link to others.
Samuels, he's been arrested for months now, right? Now, since these girls were kidnapped, the Canadian girls, right? We had the Canadians warning their nationals to be careful about Ghana, right? Coming to Ghana. We've had this morning Australia.
Yesterday.
Also, yes, yesterday. Warning its people to be careful about Ghana. Now, these are countries that you've rightly mentioned. They deal with crimes in their countries as well, so it's not something that's too out of the ordinary. They are prioritizing their citizens. If you're a Canadian citizen, we care about your life. If you're going to travel to certain countries, we want you to be vigilant. Look out for this, look out for that, because even if the cases reported are less than 10, we value your life so much that we want to make sure that you are prepared in case something like this happens. This is the only country we have. I can't go to Canada and say, make me a Canadian citizen.
The next place you can go to is the sea.
Yes. Have we applied this same level of care to our citizens to make them feel proud that I'm a Ghanaian citizen? If something happens to me in Ghana, I'm not even talking about something happening to me outside Ghana, for the Ghanaian government to warn me to be careful. If something happens to me in my country will do its best to prioritize my safety as a Ghanaian citizen.
The constitution of the land upholds every citizen. The life of any individual citizen matters to the states. You can't compromise any living being, any soul on your land. However, as a Ghanaian, I think there's been some missing link for some time now, which we all need to come out, talk about, educate, sensitize our people, patriotism, and also awareness. You know, one thing has been sunk into the minds of those are expatriates and things, wherever they are going. Anytime they go to their consuls, the embassies and things. There are proper documentations, and everywhere they go, they have been monitored. Ask yourself, how many Ghanaians do that? We don't. You go to the embassy, just about a month ago, 2 months, I was somewhere. I went to the embassy. When I got there, I said, what brought you? I said, look, I have to tell you, I'm in this country. Anything can happen, so that you know you have a citizen who has come out. I said, look, they always try to coordinate, pick data on Ghanaians, and they're finding it so difficult. One, maybe our mode of entry into countries has been a problem.
But let's focus on Ghanaians within Ghana.
I'm going to go there. Look, even in this country, how many of us, when we live in our homes, even tell people where we are going, when we get to our destinations, do we even call back to tell people that I've arrived safely or I'm here? I think it's about the way we were brought up. The education has not gone. Look,
but respectfully, I don't think Americans do that as well, where you will call someone when you're leaving the house and you call them when you arrive. They don't do that as well. I don't think anyone, even Canadians, these Canadian girls called someone to say, I'm leaving. It's one thing for the individual to do what they need to do to secure their safety, and another thing for the individual to feel as though the country is serving their interest. I've not actually seen anyone do that.
Not.
Like, I'm leaving the house, so let me call you. because I'm worried?
No, hold on. It's not just leaving the house like you're going to work. Everybody knows that in the morning, from Monday to is it Saturday or Friday, you leave the house maybe around 5 a.m. to go to work. But the moment you are stepping out of those places, well-known places that you go, I don't see why you don't inform people around you that I'm going this to this place.
As far as the Takoradi girls were concerned, everyone knew where they were going.
Sure.
So why haven't we done enough to even have the information minister come out to say this is our citizen? Because countries are not just judging us based on how we handle foreigners. They're going to judge us based on how we even handle our own
first,
people.
They will look at how you treat your own before you. That's what needs to happen everywhere. That's what happens everywhere.
How are we treating our own, from your estimation?
I believe, well, so far, I don't think, I would say we've not done the best. We're trying. Government is trying. The security agencies are out there doing what they can. Just that we say that, we've not had the results, and that's why we are all complaining, we are all lamenting. But I believe they've been up to task, they're doing what they can. And they've given us the assurance that they're working around the clock to make sure those girls are found. Let's give them the benefits of the doubt.
It's about to be 1 year. And you mentioned earlier patriotism. Believing in your country starts from knowing without any doubt that your country will protect you. What does this mean for our patriotism as Ghanaians? Not just Ghanaians, but Ghanaians in the diaspora. That 3 young girls have been missing for almost a year. We don't find them. 2 foreigners go missing. Certain countries start issuing statements.
Don't forget that when the Canadian girls were kidnapped, their own country said they were sending agencies to come and support our agencies to
So
work.
we couldn't have found them on our own?
I'm not saying, I'm not going to conclude that they did or they did not. As I said, I'm not privy to that information. But I'm saying that this is some of the informations that we picked. Maybe it could be that it was a joint operation that led us into that. So all what we need to do, what is it that is making our agencies lack in those things? I quite remember 20, 30 years ago when there was this murdering of a police officer. You know the swiftness of how they were able to go, even to the extent that when the man was buried, they were able to exhume the body and all those people were arrested. That's what Ghanaians always say, that why is it that when it's about them, the security agencies, they are able to move the extra mile to make sure they achieve results, and when it comes to citizens? Well, is it because informations are not flowing as it is? What are the informations that they are picking? And the few informations that they are gathering, what are they doing with it? How far and how swift are they moving with those informations? Well, I don't see why we should all keep quiet. We need to keep asking those questions to make sure they are up to task, to make sure that we feel secure, to make sure that when anytime I'm moving and I tell anyone, look, I'm going here, they will pray that yes, and they know that I have all the security, I have all the backing to support me to go wherever I'm going and come back safely. Those are the things.
How are Ghanaian citizens supposed to feel with this information?
Well, a mix of joy and sadness.
Two foreigners have been kidnapped. We hear from our Minister of Information that they've been found. He's assuring us, Ghanaians and foreigners, that the country is safe.
Mixed feelings.
Why?
Definitely will have mixed feelings because you have your own. Let me be sincere with you. You have your own that have gone missing for months, for weeks. We don't know. We still can't tell of their whereabouts. We have these 2 foreigners who had come, and lo and behold, we've been able to rescue them. That's where people start asking questions. I will ask, definitely. And I will not fault anyone from asking same questions. So the joy will come that, what even the international world we're seeing about Ghana, no, those things are not there. But how do we as citizens also feel? In a way, it gives us the assurance that, look, they can do better. They can go the extra mile. So we'll urge them and we'll push them. We'll motivate. We'll say all that we need to say to make sure that they give us the results that we're expecting.
Okay, so we just celebrated 62 years of independence. And I'll take you back to the days leading up to independence and some of the frustrations Ghanaians felt about being treated like third-class citizens in their own country. How do we get past that and say, okay, we are finally independent and we feel like first-class citizens in our countries because our leaders, our security agencies, there's some value to being a Ghanaian citizen, and we're showing it. Foreigners can come in and feel superior to us, not because we're under any colonial rule, but because of the way we value ourselves. How can our leaders begin to show us that they value us?
Not only our leaders. Responsibility lies on all of us. All of us. All of us. Because the leader can show the way. It is left with you to also go along.
Are they showing us, though?
Oh.
With 3 girls being missing. I'm not sure if I've heard enough from even the Minister of Information on the missing Takoradi girls.
Really?
To be honest, I don't think I've heard enough.
I'm not into arguing with you on that.
Yes. So how do we say we want to ensure that this is done? We're not going to get here and in August, I'm still talking to you about 3 missing girls.
I say, with the question you asked, let me answer you. I said, it all boils down to you and I. Understanding that, look, one, having the trust and belief that we are Ghanaians. Believing in ourselves and believing in our own. Making sure that we stand up to the task and to the day-to-day running that we are Ghanaians. Nothing.
How do we do that when one of us, 3 of our girls are missing, and we don't see the level of urgency that we're seeing when foreigners are missing?
When you say
how
we
do
don't
I,
see
how
the
do I,
agency,
how do I now say
when you say we
I'm
don't
Ghanaian?
see the agency, that's why I'll come back to ask you, what is it that we are all looking out for? Because the security
We're
agencies...
looking out for results.
Oh,
and we've not seen the results.
I've reiterated that. I've said it.
We've not seen the results, have we?
Look, we're still pushing them. We're still asking them. We're just getting them to make sure that they give us the result expected. That one, I'm not going to run away from that. That's what we're all expecting. And that's what, in fact, at the end of it, all we need is the result, making sure that these are our girls.
Why haven't we received the results?
Well, maybe. I'm not here to speak for them. That one, I will not come and sit here and pretend I know all. But we're all speaking from the few things we are gathering.
But as a Ghanaian, how do you feel?
Oh, that's why I said, look, the 2 issues, comparing the 2 issues, I feel there are mixed feelings, because you rejoice, oh, these girls that were kidnapped have been found. Then I'll come back to ask myself, and where are my own? That one, I stand on the same scale with you. I'm not going to say why should it. We need to ask our security agencies to give us results. They should give us the answers, the solutions to this unending situation we have at hand. That one, I'm not going to run away from that. No.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This is Breakfast Daily on City TV. We'll go for a quick break. Let us know your thoughts and questions you have with the hashtag Breakfast Daily and the WhatsApp line 0550-585-832. We'll be right back.
Every weekday at 8 p.m., City Newsroom brings you analysis of the major news stories of the day. In-depth, comprehensive, and researched. It's 1 hour of local and international news from 8 to 9 p.m. It's the City Newsroom. Weekdays on City TV.
Welcome back. This is Breakfast Daily on City TV. Keep those comments and questions coming with the hashtag Breakfast Daily and the WhatsApp line 0550-585-832. I have been joined by Nathan Kwao, who's here with us. Good morning, Nathan.
Hello, Dziffa.
How are you?
I'm okay.
Good. Now we're talking about the Canadian girls who have been found. So we'll hear your initial thoughts on it and move on to our next topic.
I think good news. it was quite troubling if you understand the dynamics of this particular story. The fact that they had the Canadians very concerned. We've had all kinds of statements released by various diplomatic missions, to their citizens who are here in Ghana and all of that. It is good news that at least the girls who were kidnapped have been found. But I think it also raises a greater question on what we are doing to see, what we can do to resolve the already pending situation of the Takoradi girls. And that's something we cannot overlook. Once it's the same story or related story, we will ask those questions. But what I would say initially is that it's good. Would really love to know the details. And the government, per its press statement, says that they'll have a press conference later today. So I think we'll have a better understanding of what was done. And maybe, they won't tell us, but maybe there are lessons that the government and security entities have learned that they may want to apply in how they pursue this case of the Takoradi girls.
Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to our next story here. EC cleared by Supreme Court to go ahead with limited voter registration. I'm reading from citynewsroom.com. So the Electoral Commission has been given clearance by the Supreme Court to go ahead with its planned limited voters registration after an initial suspension. So we know that the EC was taken to court over some issues about how the limited voter registration might take some people out because it's difficult to access where people will go to vote. But the Supreme Court is saying that the EC can just go ahead with its limited voter registration. So Joyce, let me start here with you.
Oh, here we are. I say it's always good to test the law. That's good. As citizens, once in a while, you're not satisfied with something. Yeah, the laws are there for you to go to. And let me quote the General Secretary of the NDC. I quote, any idiot can go to court, unquote. So the courtrooms are there for us. The Constitution is there for us to go for interpretation and other things. So here we are. The EC can go ahead to run the limited registration as expected. That's all I have to say about that. Okay.
Now, thank you so much, Nathan, our international correspondent, for being with us. We will say goodbye because Nanoye Lithur is in the studio with us and we would want to hear from her as well. So, do you have any last parts?
I mean, I will only say that even though I think the court has cleared the EC, I think that DC needs to open its eyes to some of these issues because it's important. There were concerns about people who lived in far places. I think that moving forward, the EC needs to understand how it wants to work and how it will consider all these people. Because yes, you may want to do an exercise, but everybody has the right to vote. So always consider these people who live in cut-off areas, riverine areas as you plan, and then you won't have the issues of being sent to court. You delay a process. It's just really cumbersome for everybody. So that's what I would say.
But they did say that they were going to also figure out how to reach hard to reach areas. Isn't that enough?
Oh, it is. But, I think you could have avoided this court process by, one, just having a general look at the outlay of the place. How many people are in riverine areas, hard to access areas? How do we get them to vote? Do we extend the exercise to give them time to move about if they have to? All this, you see, because going to court is a very cumbersome process. It derails your plan. It wastes everybody's time. It even kind of questions whether or not you are actually doing the right thing. And nobody wants their reputation or credibility to be questioned. Even though you may come out at the right side of the process, all that period of going to court was unnecessary. So I think that the EC needs to learn a lot more. There are too many issues popping up with the EC. Political parties aren't too happy. Somebody's going to court, all of that. I think the EC has enough time to maneuver as we prepare for election 2020 because it's a very important election and you want the EC to execute and do a good job so nobody has issues whether the person wins or loses.
Thank you very much, Nathan.
You see, just a quick on what you said before. To you, yes. I don't see why somebody should be scared going to court when you are not satisfied with something. Yes, you have the right to go to court to seek him. But when we want to look at the negativity of everything, I don't think it's... Look, nothing bars anyone from going to court to seek redress at the court. Secondly, in fact, that's not the first time the EC is running such a program.
Oh, really?
Yes. You quite remember 2011, there was this limited registration. That was, even that one, it was the national registration, but it was done as a centers. Not all centers did run
But it's
the registration.
usually, we're used to doing it at electoral areas, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. That process, it's been working just fine.
The EC said this is limited registration because they have plans to do the mass registration. This is the one to give way for, in December there's going to be this referendum and then the General Assembly elections. So they want to, and they were looking at cost and all those things. Well, I don't see why. I think the EC is being in talks with other political parties. One way or the other, depending on what time it is, you realize that political parties, as usual, the two major political parties will always have issues.
But I think this is a general concern. You don't think? Do you think it's a general concern that some people might have a difficult time reaching some of these areas versus if it had been at electoral areas?
No, even at electoral areas, people will still have difficulties traveling because if you've gone through overseas constituencies and electoral areas where one commutes from one place to the other within the same electoral area has always been a challenge. You understand? So it is not something that we say is cast in stone. You understand? But we're looking at the immediate ones. How do we resolve one and get over that and move into the major one?
Thank you. Now, we have been joined by Nana Oye Lithur, former Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
How are you?
I'm good.
Great.
And yourself?
Fine, thanks.
So we're talking about the Supreme Court clearing EC to go ahead with the limited voter registration.
Well, it's very unfortunate. We're still waiting for the actual ruling. They didn't give any reasons for their ruling yesterday. At the end of the day, each and every Ghanaian who is eligible to vote has to have that power and ability to exercise his or her franchise. What the Electoral Commission is doing now is violating that right, that constitutional and human right, political right of Ghanaians to be able to vote.
But they're not saying Ghanaians can't vote. They're saying we will even try to get people in hard-to-reach areas. Isn't that enough?
Try.
Well, not try, but
See,
they will reach hard-to-reach areas.
The issue is that the law gives the Electoral Commission that power. They have that power and authority to regulate, to supervise, and to implement the laws relating to the electoral process. So if you put in place a measure that more or less disenfranchises by limiting access or the ability of a voter to vote, then you are violating the right, the political right of that person to vote. Because if you place the center at a district, let's look at how vast a district is. And I do not have the means, and I'm not able to go to the district capital to do whatever correction amendments to partake fully in that limited registration process, then you are disenfranchising me and you are not doing your job properly. And thirdly, when you disenfranchise me, then you are violating my political right to vote. And this has been done before by the Electoral Commission. This is not the first time the Electoral Commission is doing a limited registration. Why is it that with this time there are so many problems? Why is it that since Jean Mensah became Electoral Commission chairperson, we're having these issues? First with Ayawaso West Wuogon, the violence and what happened, she turned a blind eye, and then with the referendum on the regions, look at what happened. We saw the pictorials and we saw the reports. Even the observer Cote came up with concerns and observations about what went on. And then now with limited registration, we are having issues with very limited centers that are being opened. Like your international correspondent said, it's very, very worrying.
Okay.
It's very worrying.
Okay, now before you joined us, we were talking about the 2 kidnapped Canadian girls being found, which is great news that they've been found. I wanted to hear your thoughts on that. I
mean, we're happy they've been found. It was obviously with foreign assistance. Regrettably, we had to rely on the Canadian security experts to come and rescue their own nationals in our country, and is in direct contrast with the Takoradi girls, the Tadi girls who have still not been found. Look at the swiftness, and it's very ironical that the Minister of Information, my own friend, would issue a statement. I'm wondering whether it was difficult for him to actually sign that statement, knowing in his heart that we still have 3 fully blooded Ghanaian girls from the Western region, Takoradi, who have still not been found. Let's hope that the police is still on the beat and they're going to make strenuous attempts to find the girls who have been kidnapped. And more importantly, they give us more information. It's been 1 month and I haven't heard any updates from the security services of this government on the status of investigations and the extent to which, what work they have done to make sure that we find the girls.
Thank you very much.
A quick one. On the US West Wogan by-election. I know what my sister was expecting the EC to say on that. The incident that did occur did not happen at any polling station. It had no effect on the polling, the election, on the voting. So why would you hold the electoral commissioner accountable to that? I don't get it. Is it because they just want to rely on the voice of their chairman that will send it to the cleaners? Is that why where there's no wolf, they want to cry wolf? I don't get it.
Well, you get it because the electoral commissioner, Jean Mensah, came up. We are holding her accountable, the whole of Ghana, because she came up and said that there was no violence. And the president of this country saw violence and he commissioned Emil Schultz and others to sit on it, and we have a report which we are waiting for. So we and I will hold Jean Mensah accountable for the comments, the comments that she made on Ayawaso West Wogan, which after the president had commissioned Emil Schultz and others to look into, it's been discovered that yes, there was violence, and you and I and you all saw the violence in Ayawaso West Wogan, contrary to what Jean Mensah said. So I will hold her accountable.
There was violence in Ayawaso West Wogan, but not at any police station where Jean Mensah was running the elections. No. Finito.
Okay, so let's move on now to the NDC national chairman being arrested, released, and some of his gadgets being seized. We heard this last night. What's going on with him? How's he doing? And just give us some updates on that.
The NPP government has simply lost it. They started with tertiary institutions. They attempted to politicize tertiary institutions and influence appointments within tertiary institutions. They moved from tertiary institutions to banks and closed down certain banks for whatever reasons. Then they moved and started politicizing the airwaves, contrary to our constitutional provisions on freedoms, media, press freedom, freedom of expression. We have the NPP government attempting to muzzle and silence certain groups in this country by closing down certain radio stations affiliated to the minority NDC. Now they have moved full blast to persecute the chairman of the NDC. And what we say is that we will resist each and every attempt. That we, the NDC, are fearless. We will ensure that we are law-abiding, we will apply, and we will adhere to the tenets of the law. But the NDC will not, and I repeat to NPP government, we will not be intimidated. We will not be intimidated by whatever acts. So they can take our chairman to court, they can prosecute, they can investigate, they can take all the 4 million NDC, those who voted for NDC, each and every one they can take to court. We will continue to speak truth to the powers. And we will continue to stand and speak in the interest of the people of Ghana. The NPP can decide to use the powers The levers of powers, as President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo said in Vancouver, they can use the levers of power. But we believe in the rule of law. We believe in the 1992 Constitution, which is governing this country. And we are telling the MPP that our chairman will have his day in court.
Now,
and truth will prevail. That they cannot. No government has been able to intimidate and muzzle the people. Even in the military regime, we marched. And how much more now in the constitutional era? So we will not, NDC will not be intimidated. We will chart the path of truth and honesty and integrity. And we will deliver the people of Ghana from the incompetent, super incompetent MPP come December 2020.
Okay, so initially, the CID just wanted the national chairman to assist with investigation. And as a law-abiding citizen, is there anything wrong with just showing up to say, okay, I'm going to assist with the investigation?
Yesterday, Chairman Ampofo, chairman of the NDC,
and he's a Ghanaian citizen, right?
He is a Ghanaian citizen, so he turned himself in and availed himself to the CID for questioning. And he went through the process, and he was bailed, and he is appearing on Thursday.
The police statement also said he was arrested. Which one was it? Did he turn himself in or was he arrested?
He turned himself in.
So he was not arrested.
A warrant of arrest was issued. And according to our press statement issued by our Secretary General, Asedun Ketia, our chairman, Ofosu Ampofo, turned himself in. He went through the processes. He availed himself. And he is presenting himself on Thursday, and the course should go on.
Now, Joyce, majority of what NDC is saying is really just for the security agencies to treat their chairman with respect and dignity.
The chairman should also respect law and order in this country. One good thing deserves another. We live in a country being governed, being ruled by law. So you cannot flout the law and think you are untouchable. No one in this country is above the law. No one. The constitution of this country is the supreme. Should I say the supreme holy book of the land? So whatever you do, contrary to the law, it will catch up with you. When you hide, it will find you. And that's exactly what the NDC chairman has found himself. You can run, but you can't hide. And you'll be found.
But is there a way they could have at least given him that respect?
What else? What else were you expecting from the security agencies? Hold on. What else were you expecting from the police, the security agencies? When that tape, the tape that is in court, when that issue came up, didn't they invite him? Didn't he go to the police service? Was there any hue and cry about it? Why? He went there, he gave his statement, and they are in court. This is the intelligence the police said they've picked. They are inviting you to come so that they have a discussion. They want to hear your side of the story. You had his own communication officers and NDC members coming out on air boldly, confidently say that he's not going to adhere to the call of the police. Calling the police invites a bluff. They tell you they have the laws with them. They have it and they can use it at any given time. Nobody, I said no one is above the law. Look, and like you're saying, he was arrested. You know, the police had the warrant. When they invited him and they came out that they were not going to allow him to go, he was not going to tender into the invitation of the police service. He was found in a home. And when they saw the arrest warrant, that is when he followed to the police. You heard the general secretary on air saying that he moved in. If he had moved in, if he had turned himself in, would they have been out there calling their people to marshal and go to the police station, to the police headquarters? For what? If the man walked himself to the police, would he need any assistance? Would he need any support there? No. This country has laws governing us. I say nobody, even the president, is not above the law. NPP is not going to take anybody to ransom. NPP is not going to intimidate anybody. No, we have the laws, and that's why we have the courts. And that's why we have people like her as lawyers to defend people. Go and defend your case when you know you've not flouted any laws.
Okay, Nanoye, as a law-abiding citizen, if any policeman asks you to come assist with the investigation, we expect to just go along with it. And couldn't he have led by example in a way that, okay, even though I don't agree with the way they're handling things, I'm still going to assist so that it doesn't come across as though I'm positioning myself above the law?
It is obvious that the NPP is using the laws and is using the executive powers that it has to intimidate, to provoke, and to silence its opponents, especially
by asking them
the
to
NDC.
Assist with investigations.
That is exactly what they are doing. And if we recall, when they lost elections in 2008, they tried to do that when they surreptitiously went to court to seek an injunction to restrain the Electoral Commission from announcing those results, if you recall. And if you recall, the CDD made a statement about applying the law in a sometimes volatile political environment. We already have a state of insecurity in this country. We have vigilantes. We saw what happened at Ayawaso West Wagon. We saw what the NPP thugs and vigilantes have done, chasing out a judge from her court.
And this is just asking to
This
assist
is
with
not
investigation.
just asking.
Okay.
This is not
It's
just
okay.
asking. I'm building a point on the state of instability. And so to arrest and treat the chairman of the largest political party in Ghana, in this state. Yesterday, you heard some police experts expressing concern about what the police is doing and about how that has an effect on stability or instability in Ghana. And if you do a risk assessment of the situation, you would realize that the situation and the tumbling and the course that the NPP government is taking is not good. It's very worrying.
How should they have handled this instead? How should they have gone about asking him to assist in
This is a strategic figure. Chairman Ofosu Ampofu is no mean person. He is a strategic figure. He is the chairman of the largest political party in Ghana.
Party.
The largest political party. We have more members than NPP. Likewise, if action is going to be taken against Chairman Blay as the chairman of the NPP, care has to also be taken. These are strategic figures. And what I'm saying is that we are not saying they are above, he's above the law. But when you act in a certain way with respect to crimes or actions, police,
How else should the CID had engaged?
The CID, no, this is not the first time they have done.
How should they have engaged
This
the chairman to
This
assist
is
with
not
investigation?
the first time they have caused an arrest of such a figure, and this will not be the last. But this is the pattern of the NPP. We know when President Kufuor was president, what they did, arresting people in churches, what they did to President Rawlings, what they did to President Mills, and several other political figures in the NDC. I thought that second time around they would have learned their lesson, but it doesn't seem like the NPP have learned their lessons. What we're saying is that we want a peaceful Ghana, stable Ghana. We want to focus on repairing the economic mess that NPP has placed us in. That is what we want to focus on, social development. We want to focus on a strong economic and financial environment for Ghana. We want to be able to pay our own money from the budget. We want Ghana beyond aid, as President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has said. We don't want political intimidation. Let's focus on the right thing. Ghanaians want food on the table. Ghanaians want water. Ghanaians want dams, not dug out wells and ponds with mud.
Okay.
Ghanaian wants
Okay.
an end to galamsey.
Okay.
Ghanaians want
Yes, so
a clearing of the filth.
Please wrap
We
up
just,
for us.
Gabio Chidakun has just
Please wrap up
posted
for us.
pictures of filth at Kaneshi Market. We want to address sanitation.
Okay.
We want good roads.
Thank you.
We don't want arrests of people. That
Okay.
is not what will put food on the table.
Okay.
NPP
But it's still
government should
important
work.
for all of us to assist
It's
with
important for us
investigations.
to abide by the laws. It's important for us to respect the police.
Okay.
And it's important for us to make sure that we ensure that the security agencies do their work.
Thank you very much. Now, please briefly respond because I want to get through some of these messages.
Not briefly.
We've
She could
run
have
out
come
of
early
time.
for us to do that. So you can't do that.
Okay.
Well, let me take her down memory lane. From 92, I'm not even going to go into 79 and 81. Which they are so guilty of. I don't even know. Which she's a beneficiary of the atrocities that occurred in this country. We lived under the military regime of Rawlings. We lived under 92 to 2000 constitutional rule, where nobody in this country had the guts to talk. 2000 election, we saw what happened, where tankers and things were moved around in this country. She's talking about vigilantism. 1998, by-election, Ablekuma. What happened? Where Kwamina Bates, the certain an MP, was stabbed. And my condolences, Kwabena Dumo of blessed memory. When the journalist on the field was called to respond to that, he said, "What? Kwamina Bates has been choked." He was calling for a dictionary to look for the meaning of choke. Those are the things to talk about. We lived in this country under their recent government, which they lost in 2016, the election. We had the brother of Collins Dauda going out on air, boasting, touting himself that their party, they can kill, and they can kill in broad daylight. Nobody can arrest them. Was she not in this country? She's talking about death. Under her own ministry, the ministry we built, the women and children, which was turned into gender and social protection. How much did they live there? That Nanado Dankwa, it has to take Nanado Dankwa Kufuadu to pay.
Those
are things that I can give you countless and countless of it. She's talking about
run
Ghana.
out of time,
Oh,
Joyce.
no,
Thank
very
you
unfair.
so much.
Very, very unfair. Because I also have
we have run
because
out
you
of
have
time.
done Dramani Mahama,
Thank
the
you
NDC
so
presidential
much
aspirant,
for
saying
being
that
with
if
us
we talk
this
about
morning.
violence, they are number one. Nobody
Joyce
can beat them.
Zempare
This
is
is very
the
unfair.
Deputy
Let's see.
National Communications Director of the NPP.
Oh, God.
And Nana Oye Lithur is the former Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection. Do not go anywhere. Thank you both for being with us
Thank
this
you. Good
morning.
morning.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.